Cowboy fans and YouTubers? It's that VA Dallas Cowboy fan coming back at you. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting down below. I make these videos for me and you, and they're a little therapeutic. You get to calm down on a rest day for the Cowboys. Tomorrow they're going to get back at it. Today, if you hear anything, it's mostly, notes that people have observed, and they're trying to keep up and refresh what they've seen, what they've heard, leading into the next practice day. Like the read today that it looks like Connor McGovern is not being looked at for the center position. They are actually putting him with, sometimes he's switching between Connor Williams and himself at the first team reps for a left guard. He has not taken any reps at center in these practices so far. I guess they were not playing when they were hoping that he could take over the left guard spot. If he truly does do it, that will kick Williams to a backup role. And he actually has been taking some snaps at center with, he's behind Joe Looney over Tyler Biadasz, and there's one other guy behind them. But very interesting that they're doing the mismatch hodgepodge on the offensive line right now because some of them not healthy, and they've had to go out and sign another lineman, Pace Murphy from the XFL, to help provide some depth because they were down to their fourth string right tackle at one point, and that's not good, but it is to be expected. This is a training camp like no other. They have soft tissue injuries and stuff like that because they couldn't get full-on training in the offseason like they normally would have. They haven't had the full-on strength and conditioning. They haven't had to put themselves through a couple paces at mini camps and stuff like that. So they're walking in kind of cold. It was nice that you gave them a couple weeks to ramp up, as you say. But once the season starts here in a couple weeks, you might see a lot more injuries happen just because they will have ramped it up. They will be taking full-on hits and stuff like that. So hopefully, as they have said, this will be a game of attrition this year. Whoever's the healthiest at the end of the season or made the wisest moves as far as depth purposes is going to win the Super Bowl, if we make it that far. Because it's definitely a lot of teams that are losing players. I mean, it's normal to lose players, but there are a lot of lower leg injuries happening, and that's a little par for the course, but even more so this offseason. Some bodies are just not ready to go. Now they're getting ramped up in a condition that they're not used to. Bodies are kind of letting people down. But that's my belief. I know how that feels when you're getting older and and you're trying to ramp yourself up for activity and you don't stretch, or you kind of walk into something cold and you're not ready, and your body responds by saying hell the fuck no and shutting down on you. I actually did it myself last week. I tried to get a workout in, fresh, cold, straight after coming in from work. It was not a good idea. I pulled some stomach muscles pretty quickly. It lasted about 3 days, and I'm like, okay, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So I know NFL guys who've been through a lot more than me and are younger than me are got to be hurting. So it's just how it's going to be for a while until we can get these guys in here a little more used to having the normal traditional practices. still doing the social distancing and everything, but at least it's on a more consistent basis. We'll just have to see once the season begins, right? But that's pretty much it coming out of Cowboys camp today. We had another presser with Mike McCarthy talking about his feelings about Dak, what he's observed and everything. He has talked about Andy Dalton for the first time and how good he looks. So we're fairly set at backup quarterback. If anything, DiNucci and Thorson are going to have to fight it out for a practice squad because I don't think they'll keep 4 on the roster. 3 at best and 2 active game day. And it's going to be between Thorson and DiNucci to figure out who's going to be that last man. McCarthy likes DiNucci. He's met him. He knew him for years. And he has a bond with him. That's why he selected him. But we'll have to see if the whole coaching staff feels the same. So many people are hyped about Michael Gallup being called the true number 1. And that it's possible that we have 3 true number 1 wide receivers on the field at the same time. And that's impressive. You know, you want to get into the hype, but we'll have to see because, you know, he's always had somebody opposite him, and it's made him look good in retrospect. Same thing with Alvin Harper when Michael Irvin was on the other side. He looked spectacular playing for the Cowboys, but when he left in free agency to go to Jacksonville, I think. Yeah, I think it was Jacksonville. Whoa. Yeah. Jacksonville or Miami. One of those teams down there in Florida. They found out he was not a true number 1 because without somebody equally as good on the other side, he could not play at all. And it was frustrating to him. You could tell by his reactions when something was bad happening that he knew, he felt like he could be a number 1, but in actuality, he just didn't have it. But we're just, hopefully we're not going to have to worry about that for a little while. Hopefully we can actually retain him when his contract comes up soon. Because I'd love to continue with 3 number 1 wideouts. But that's what you have CD Lamb for. Just in case Gallup does take his services elsewhere and we cannot afford to keep him. Eventually, they're going to have to bite the bullet with him, just like they're going to have to with Dak. So, it's going to come down to crunching numbers here soon, and I hope the Cowboys have themselves set up. And usually with Stephen Jones running things, they pretty much have an idea of what's going to happen with their players. And as we've seen often, they do pay for the players they want to keep. If you did not get another contract, there is a reason for it. Let's see. Along with Stephen Jones looking to the future, we're seeing him a little bit more and seeing a lot less of Jerry. I'm guessing it's an exposure thing. One, he doesn't want to be out here gloating about anything because of how it has destroyed our seasons before. When he's saying we're Super Bowl bound or all that stuff and people believe in the hype and we're blowing it. So he could see that because he's getting older now and he's no spring chicken. He knows there's more years behind him than in front of him. 2, he knows that a lot of times he's gone out here on these interviews and he has put his foot in his mouth. I'm not sure if people keep bringing it up to him, but I'm sure in hindsight he does recognize some of the stuff he says is pretty out there. So I think he likes to take himself away from that. And 3, I think it's possible he does see himself having to eventually step down. And this is just an ample way of letting others in the organization basically toe the line while he does this little experiment. And this is like the perfect time with COVID now gripping the world and a lot of training camps and football activities have been changed. This is a time to experiment with seeing how the organization will run if he's not there front and center all the time like he used to be. But that's, again, just my opinion. I've noticed in my previous videos, I've talked a lot about a lot of position groups, and I'm surprised nobody's called me on it, but I haven't talked about the tight ends. Whoops. I've been so mesmerized by our quarterback, our running backs, our wide receivers, the trying to figure out the offensive line, that I've completely neglected our tight ends and what Blake Jarwin can bring to the table. As we've seen, he's more aerial than blocking. I think that was the knock on the previous regime, is that they always wanted a blocking tight end. They didn't really want a Gronk type of cat going out there and picking up all this yardage through the air. They just wanted him to hunker down and be able to get those yards on the ground for Zeke. And that's nice if you're still playing in the 90s. I mean, that's why Novacek gets love, but he doesn't get a lot of love because he was dependable and Troy could always throw to him, but you generally don't hear a lot of stats for him because he was always in blocking for Emmett as well as other guys. But him, Blake Bell, Dalton Schultz, and there's like one or two guys after that. The tight ends as a group are better off right now without Witten. Not because of the bad stuff that Austin Hooper was saying about him being selfish and all that, but because he was the typical blocking back prototype that could play every down if need be, and he was generally considered sure-handed, that you could always know that he was going to catch anything thrown his way and probably secure a first down on third downs that other guys just never had a shot. But when Jarwin did have a chance, he looked darn good. So now this coaching regime sees that, and they're like, well, it's time to move on. You know, because with Witten around, he's always going to want to be at the top. And because he knows he can play. And it's hard to get him off the field because he has that mentality of, if I'm healthy enough to play, I'm going to play. You know? And that has to stop. And that's why he's no longer with us. Great guy. Just a lion at heart that never wanted to basically be out of any play. If he was healthy enough to play, he was going to play. And at the time, we just couldn't have that. We needed somebody to seed snaps to somebody younger. And now we're going to see that. It should be a whole new dynamic. I can't wait to see it. Let's see. And last but not least, tell me if anybody out there knows why. I mean, I've heard the talking heads and social media and stuff say that they are not allowed to post pictures, do videos of training camp, and the only time they can't live tweet. The only time they can tweet or say anything is after practices are over. Okay, the Cowboys media group has done this precautions, and they're saying that their stories are getting leaked before they get to put anything down on Twitter, and they're a little upset about that. But you got Cleveland, Baltimore, and some other teams out here live streaming their practices. So I'm just kind of confused, NFL, how the hell you can allow some teams to stream their practices, but tell other media groups they're not allowed to do any pictures, any videos, or anything until practices are over. I don't know. Just sounds like a little biasy again by the NFL, that they're not doing anything to prevent that. You say it for one group, but you don't say it for others. I don't know. But that's all I got to say today. Sorry for making this a little long-winded, but it's hump day. couple more days to the weekend. I can't wait. Gonna be cooking this weekend. Trying to relax, get some time off from the job, enjoy my weekend with the fam. If anything happens, we'll get it to you. And this concludes another episode as the Dallas Cowboys turn. All right, the Dallas Cowboy fan, out.